Welcome to the Magnetic Leadership Podcast by educator Dave Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. Just before we started the recording, I was sharing with Jeffrey my phone for a lot of years, perhaps 20 or so. It's been loaded with a lot of good speakers, and I've got several albums of Jeffery Combs in there. And love your voice, love your presentation, and what powerful words. Jeffrey is one of those guys that's the real deal. He's done all the stuff that he's going to be sharing. He's coached many thousands of people over 20-something years. One of the things I'm really excited about is perhaps the book that people talk about is Think and Grow Rich, as far as success and a book to read. And Jeffrey talks about the mastermind. So does Napoleon Hill, and he's got an organization called Golden Mastermind. And there's just nothing like coming together with people that know what they're doing and then do the same thing and just repeat that over and over again. But Jeffrey has shared the stage with Jim Rohn, a lot of amazing people, and mostly what Jeffrey does now is just one-on-one, but I'm really glad that he'll do a call with us today. And oh my goodness, I just want to reach out to everyone that's listening to this and ask Jeffrey if he can just share a little bit about what it takes to build a business. And there's reasons. Successful people do certain things a certain way, and other people don't. And so could you go into some details about all of that?
I would love to do that for you, Dave. I was a 10-year network marketer. Like you, I went through the odyssey until I found the right company at the right time. I was the right person at the right time for a company, and that's when I crossed the bridge. But it was 7 years of the network marketing odyssey. And if you remember the 80s and 90s, what that was like, I started with Amway in 1989 as a product user. I bought the aloe vera juice, the jug that they had with the big white handle. Herbalife was the first company that I had any real experience in, that I started to cross the bridge and started to understand. I followed Larry Thompson, and then Jim Rohn was the keynote speaker for Herbalife. Jim Rohn was never a distributor of Herbalife. He was hired by Herbalife to train around the world exclusively, and he was the only network marketing company that he would speak for. And I learned a lot in listening to his content. My sales career, though, is what I'm really anchored my business around. Is I learned to sell as a teenager, and I had my own businesses as a teenager, but I learned how to sell in a phone room in 1976 in Denver, Colorado. I was working for Time Life Books, and it was the boiler room type of selling with a script, and I was cold calling, and I was able to cross that bridge of cold calling where I didn't feel rejected. So I never had that in my wheelhouse. Like so many people that sell, they have so much anxiety about the outcome that hasn't happened. And that's what I'm going to cover today, is what letting go is. It's letting go of the story and letting go of the doubt, because it's doubt that creates the lower self. It keeps people in fight or flight. It keeps them avoiding building their own business. And that's why they'll do so many great tasks for others, but they won't build a business for themselves. And so we'll cover that today. But in my sales career was anchored in selling Yellow Page advertising door to door in the late 80s and 90s. And that's where I really learned the one call close. That's where I learned how to ask the questions in a sequence, how to be skilled at being able to connect with the potential buyer, and how to let people go who didn't qualify for the product, service, benefits, and features, and not to talk to someone that isn't interested. That's what so many people do, is they waste so much of their valuable time talking to non-qualified buyers because they want to help them. Well, that's great that you want to help them, but you want to speak to people who believe what you believe. If you're not speaking to qualified buyers, you're just wasting your time, setting yourself up to be disappointed. Now, I've been coaching and speaking for 26 years. I've spoken in 47 states, 4 continents. I did 1,042 keynotes. I've coached another 150,000 hours one-on-one, 15,000 clients. And I primarily coach people in network marketing, direct sales, insurance, real estate. They own their own small businesses. They're entrepreneurs, they're influencers, affluencers, coaches, and other speakers. That is my audience. So I have a wide bandwidth of people I've coached. It's given me a window into the soul of why people do what they do and why people do what they don't do that would allow them to be successful. So if you're really looking for a way to understand why you do what you do, that's what I specialize in. So many people focus on the mechanics of success. I do that. But if you don't understand why you do what you do, then you'll just live in fight or flight, recreate the same situation, and then create the payoff, which you saw me cover for 2 hours with Valerie in Stockton, California last December. And that's what so many people do, is recreate the same situation. They may go from company to company, opportunity to opportunity, and they're in the right place at the right time occasionally or once. But like right now, you're in the right place at the right time if you're watching this content. This is a great product. I know that the rest of the products are exceptional. This is what I take. I know that I've received benefits and features. I'm now on month number 5 of that product, and I've definitely seen the benefits of it. So you can have a great product, you can have great features, but it's going to be your responsibility to let go of your anxiety about the outcome that hasn't happened, so that you can master the skills required of your profession. In network marketing and direct sales, it's important that you become skilled at recruiting. Recruiting is prospecting. Prospecting is asking the questions in a sequence. I produced this CD set. This is my biggest selling CD set of all time. This is an old school CD that I produced in a studio in 19. And then this is the last CD set I ever produced, The Psychology of Asking. And so I've produced over 30 CD sets specifically on selling, asking, closing, and prospecting. And I've sold over 100,000 copies to insurance, direct sales, network marketing, real estate professionals. That's who primarily would buy my products. And sales is the highest paid profession in the world. And the network marketing industry does not do a very good effort, I believe, in promoting the skills required to be an effective communicator, connector, and especially sales. There's this sales aversion. So many people go, I don't want to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Well, it becomes a mixed message, because you're presenting an idea, a product, a benefit, and feature. But if you're in anxiety about that before you start, you're in a mixed message. You want to be able to let go, which is separate your feelings from the events that shape them, relax into the conversation. And if the person is not interested, you let that person go without feeling. See, that's the feel, without experiencing rejection that didn't happen. If someone does not buy from you, seldom are they rejecting you. If they don't buy from you, it's usually because you're ineffective in your presentation, or they're not qualified to buy the products. They're not open to it. Even you can know the best product in the world, and many people, they're shut down when it comes to network marketing, direct sales, multi-level marketing, holistic, naturopathic, whatever the situation is. It's your responsibility, your ability to respond, to be able to easily and effortlessly disconnect from a conversation that's not going in the direction you're looking for. And then when you disengage, you let go of any feelings of being rejected, abandoned, traumatized, criticized, any of these other situations. What keeps so many people stuck, Dave, is they're afraid of this outcome that hasn't happened. They're afraid to push the send button on writing a post. They're afraid afraid really means doubt. It's the mixed message. They're in doubt about putting themselves out there. I mean, what does that even mean, Dave? Out there? Is that the stratosphere, the Galactic Federation? Is that where the Palladians live? I mean, what does out there even mean? It means nothing. It's a story. As you begin to let go of your story and relax into the business. Dave, do you believe that this is the best opportunity that you have found in the last 20 years?
Oh, in the last 50. I've been in network marketing 48 years, and this moment, it feels so good, because right now I'm in the best opportunity I've ever been in. I can just feel that, and I'm in my A game, and yeah, I'm in my 70s, but I thoroughly intend and anticipate my 70s being my favorite all-time decade as far as just happiness, productivity, making a difference out there. And we've got this wonderful plan, building teams and powering it with the most exciting product I've ever experienced. And wow, it's great stuff. And we've got a guy that can help us get inside our head and in our hearts, because you're right, the mechanics is pretty simple and straightforward. You can learn that. The rest of it is just really get invested in the activity and do the right activity every day. So I'm with you on this.
So you're a VFE, Dave, a veteran of free enterprise. You've ran the table, and you are not a novice, you are a professional. You had a 20-year career in a top tier company and you witnessed what can happen when ownership changes or a pay plan changes or any multitude of situations. And that means you have to be able to adapt and adjust. You have been a multiple monthly six-figure income earner for years, as I have. That is not a hobby, that's a habit, and that's a mindset. So your dialogue with money also is a major component of whether you achieve money or whether you avoid money. And if you're not comfortable with asking, receiving, and deserving, you will put yourself in a position that you will repel the money because of your own uncomfortability. By the time we're 18 years old, our conditioning with money is anchored in how we feel about our ability to attract it. Now, in today's world, people go to college, they go to these universities, and you know what happens in universities in today's world. It's not what it was 10 years ago. I wouldn't even send my children to college in today's world. I would send them to trade school, real estate, network marketing, direct sales, insurance, where they could step right in and they could start to create profits rather than wages. Now, that was a Jim Rohn quote, profits are better than wages. And so and that's what you're in business. It's not a job. I watch so many people, they talk about their job and I go, do you have a job or do you have a business? Because if you're in free enterprise, that is not a job. But if you bring this job mentality, that's trade time, or in free enterprise, it's create value. And the value ladder that you're creating starts with you being good enough. If you're not good enough, if you're not anchored in being good enough, then you're in the contradiction of not being good enough, and that's the mixed message. And this is how so many people sabotage the success, because you can be in the right place at the right time, but if you're not able to not only recognize it, you have to realize it. So you can recognize it, but you have to also feel it, and that's being able to realize it. And so you feel that. And so the skills that you require to master is communication skills, simple communication skills of asking a question about an outcome. I was in a gym in Stockton, California in 1996. You were very close to this gym. It was right across the street from the hotel where you and Valerie saw me speak. At the time, it was called Quail Lakes Athletic Club. There was a young woman in that club selling membership. She was relatively new. She had just started. I was a member in that club. At that time, I was $100,000 in credit card debt. You know what that's like, Dave. You've been down that rabbit hole before. I'd been through a few failed adventures of companies changing pay plans, going out of business, e-commerce accounts getting shut down. These stories, right, Dave? This is the network marketing odyssey. So, and I just started a new business. I was very inspired about this new business. It was like that horse that you knew was going to win the race. That's what I felt in that business. And I just felt it. I approached this woman who was selling membership. I asked her a simple question to keep your options open for an additional stream of income. Her name was Lisa. And she said, is this network marketing? I said, absolutely, to keep your options open. And then she proceeded to tell me a story about her previous adventures in a company called Equinox, which I'm sure you remember them. And so I said, would that keep you from looking at an opportunity that could change your life? And she agreed to look at it. That woman went on to be the number one person I ever enrolled in my life. She became a $500,000 income earner in her second year, and she recruited a woman who was a seven-figure income earner, all because I asked that one question. Do you keep your options open for additional streams of income? It was that simple. And that's the simplicity of the business, is being able to ask qualified questions about the outcome you seek to create. And this is where so many people have this aversion, because they're afraid, which is doubt, of these situations. Being rejected, being abandoned, saying the wrong thing, offending someone, making a mistake. And that's what so many people hold on to. So the mechanics and the mindset, you had this question for me, what's most important? This was question number one you had for me. Well, both. The mechanics are important. The mindset are equally as important. The mindset is that you believe they're in your right place and you believe that you're good enough. That's the simplicity of the mindset. You don't have to know all the skills yet, but it's important that you believe that you're in the right place at the right time, and that you have the ability in the next 24 months to let go of whatever you're holding on to, so you can begin to monetize this business, so you can start to create a livelihood, an income for yourself, so you can quit a job, so you can, whatever it is, you relieve yourself of the debt you hold on to. That's the mindset. The mindset is belief, which is sense of certainty. And if you're uncertain about yourself, then you're going to be uncertain about the mechanics, and you're going to just recreate the same situation over and over to fulfill the same feelings. So the term letting go, which is what I teach, I am a master at this. Letting go is my ability to separate the feelings from the events that shapes anxiety, fear, and doubt. Anxiety, fear, and doubt is anchored in these emotions: anger, hate, resentment, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, shame, apathy, and pride. Those are the feelings that we hold on to keep us sabotaging our success. Then we live in the left brain. We live in the left hemisphere of the brain. We're not in our full capacity of our brain. This is the hippocampus. This is short-term memory that shuts down. This is the prefrontal cortex that's shut down. The amygdala is right back here. That's the little pea-sized gland. That's our emotional engine that searches for a feeling. And then this is the pineal gland. That's the gland of God. That's the consciousness gland. So if you're in brain fog and in doubt, you're in fight or flight, all those capacities are shut down. By breathing, releasing, and letting go, you're opening yourself up to receive. You're opening yourself up to being able to connect and communicate with people. When you're in fight or flight like this, worried about this outcome that hasn't happened, you're completely shut down in a mixed message. The simplicity of letting go is just that: you're letting go. You're letting go of your feelings. You're letting go of the experience. You're letting go of the story. And there is no how do I. There's a mechanics to it. I teach it. It's very simple, and you can master it in a relatively short period of time. You don't require a PhD, a public high school diploma. You require the courage to let go. When you step into that courage, you'll begin to see what happens. People will begin to show up differently. And it's the science of attraction begins to happen. People will begin to show up in a higher law of average and a higher frequency because you're not as anxious about the outcome as you once were. Changes your vision. You begin to have a clearer picture of the opportunities right in front of you. All of a sudden you begin to see on your left and right. You can see 240 degrees behind you because you're learning to let go. The separation between the feelings and the events that shape them. That's the emotional mechanics, Dave. That's the spoken mechanics are simple. I mean, it's just asking a series of questions about the outcome. I cover this in great detail in this right here, the psychology of asking. There's a skill set to asking a question. Many people talk and they talk themselves out of an opportunity, or they talk themselves out of prospecting because of their anxiety, and they avoid prospecting, which is what most of the planet does. How can people let go of indecision so they can commit to their enterprise? So that was one of your questions. Well, you commit to letting go by having a vision and having clarity. I mean, you hear it all the time, but what does it actually mean to have a vision? It means that you have a feeling about something that you're committed to achieving. So this is the most challenging time in world history from my perspective. We're in the most uncertain times ever. It's a political year. It's very challenging what's going on. Immigrants, just everything you can imagine is happening this year, which you can still be in command of as a business. You can absolutely create your own destiny and your own livelihood right here by being committed. So if you're interested, that's not a commitment. If you'd like to, that's not a commitment. Committed means you're fully in. It means you will not fail. You will commit to master the skills, the habits, and the mindset, and you do it in a dedicated block of time. If you can only devote a half an hour, then you're committed. You require at least an hour a day. That's only 7 hours a week. 7 to 10 hours a week is just a fundamental beginning point. 20 hours is more realistic. In a 20-hour commitment, you can unequivocally begin to achieve $1,000 a month plus and or more. And if you haven't achieved $1,000 a month in network marketing, direct sales, that's your first breakthrough. For you to achieve $10,000 a month, it's important you have your first $1,000 a month. And you can do that within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in any pay plan, especially yours, Dave. So why do people fear hearing a no response? It's a good question. These are the questions you sent me. Because as children, we grow up in alcoholic homes. We grow up with narcissistic parents. We grow up adult children of alcoholics. We grow up with critical parents. We get criticized by brothers, sisters, clergymen. We get criticized by teachers, coaches, a multitude of situations. Criticism can become a way of life. And so if we take that on, if we personalize that, then we're going to personalize the communication experience, and we're going to turn a conversation into a no. And even And so when someone says they're not interested, they're not telling you, they just said they're not interested. When someone says they'll get back to you, they're telling you they'll get back to you. It's going to be your ability right here in your prefrontal cortex to discern what they really mean, not what they say. But if you shut down in a conversation because you're emotionally addicted to being rejected, then you can't hear what's meant versus what is said. Typically, when someone says they're going to get back to you, they're telling you what they think you want to hear. If someone isn't interested, you learn to let them go. I mean, that's part of your skill set, and you learn where to devote your time and energy, and you devote it to where it's deserved, not where it's needed. And so many people focus on the wrong people because they become attached. So in recovery, codependent recovery, any type of 12-step recovery or any emotional recovery, you learn not to be attached. That's called non-attachment. But when you're attached to a prospect or a teammate, attached to them, meaning you want it more for them than they want it for themselves, you've set yourself up to be disappointed. And so that's what so many people get discouraged about, is they had these people, these pretty little pets, that they thought were going to be real good at it, and they quit before their time. That's what it's important that you learn to let people go in peace and not hold on to them when they join the witness protection club or wherever they go, because they tend to do this. Then number 4, what can you teach our audience about repetition and experience? Well, repetition and experience is the over and over and over model that becomes a reflex. I mean, how do you hit a curveball that's 85 or 88 miles an hour? Well, first of all, you have to have the courage to go in the batter's box. Then you learn the mechanics. Then you learn to hit what you can't see. And then you learn from predictability. Repetition and experience of prospecting, communicating with people, asking questions, writing content, the body begins to relax in a much more energetic situation where you're in flow rather than resistance. But if you're in force, in repetition and experience, you'll create such a story that you'll avoid it. Letting go is the ability to separate your feelings from the events that shape them, relax into the experience, and learn to communicate with people in a forum to see if they qualify for the products, services, benefits, and features. It can be as simple as reading a script if you have one. I'm not a big script person. I teach a communication style. I have a script book on my website that I've sold many copies over the years. But you just learn to qualify people. If I'm going to dinner tonight with my wife, if I was building a business, I would look over the landscape of the restaurant where I'm dining tonight, and I would ask a waitress, a hostess, a bartender, someone in the bar, if I felt they qualified energetically through eye contact, any multitude of situations. That's called the 3-foot rule. I would ask them a question. I couldn't help but notice you look like a very energetic person. Are you health conscious? Do you keep your options open for additional streams of income? I mean, nothing more than a series of questions about the outcome you seek to create. I've recruited waiters, waitresses, bartenders, hostesses, salespeople. I've recruited multitudes of people in the 3-foot rule. I used to go in North Dallas into the Galleria, and I'd go to Pleasanton, California also. And I created a millionaire survey, and I had a clipboard, and I'd virtually go into malls, look around for security so I could avoid them. And then I had a millionaire survey. I would ask people, excuse me, sir, I'm conducting a millionaire survey. I'm a local business owner. Would it be possible for me to ask you 6 simple questions about becoming a millionaire? Dave, I used to do flyers back in the day. Lose weight now, ask me how. That was the Herbalife man. I used to do flyers, and I'll never forget, I had to go back into a mall and take all the flyers off the cars once because they had a no handbill law. I mean, but I put out hundreds, thousands of flyers. I've done whatever required to create a lead, because if you're in lead poverty, then you're required to have more leads than time. If you don't have leads, then you don't have a business. And so I'm just going down the questions here.
I just got to say that's the key. You got to have more leads than you have time. If you have 6 leads and you're cherishing them, and if you think, if I call all of those people, I'm out of business, you got to keep adding people to your list. So, thank you.
Yesterday, I sent at least 20 messages through Facebook. I go through memories on Facebook every day. So I've been writing content since 2009, and on an average day, I'll put out 10 pieces of content through multiple social media sites. But for Facebook has a section called memories, and I will go down it every single day because it records the post that I wrote that had the highest algorithm on that day. So I go back to 2009. There was a picture yesterday of me dining with 6 people in Minneapolis at a barbecue restaurant. And one of the women in there's name was Lorene, and another man in that picture was named Greg. I cut and pasted that picture. I edited the picture, and I sent both of them that picture yesterday. And I sent both of them, I said, this was 12 years ago today, an honor to have been your coach. That woman has sent me back 3 messages, one named Lorene. And so I will ask her, Lorene, have you considered rehiring me in 2024? That's a simple question. That's all it is. And that's the simplicity of asking a question. I sent 20 messages yesterday out, and I didn't receive a lot back from it. If that's the repetition and experience that you ask about, I do that every single day. Now, last week, I sent messages in Facebook, and I closed 2 coaching sales from a former client and one guy that had been following me since 2009. And that was last week, just from sending messages. And there are hundreds of ways to create leads. And you want to have this equation: more leads than time. What would you advise someone who's worried about saying the wrong thing? Well, that's your last question here. I would advise you let go of that anxiety about the outcome. There is an old term, I don't really use it that much, but you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Well, it's not so much a wrong thing. You're trial closing all the time. ABC is always be closing. ABTC is always be trial closing. Have a few questions that you ask in repetition over and over that you become skilled at, and you become skilled at asking these questions. Have you ever considered rehiring me? That's a simple question that I can ask a former coaching client. Thank you for liking my post. Have you ever considered hiring a coach? I mean, that's simple. So it's the 5 to 15 word law. 5 to 15 words that end with a question mark. So when you ask a question, listen with your dominant ear. Listen to what is meant along with what is said. Asking along with listening are the key skills in being able to recruit, to be able to attract, to be able to build a business. So those are the questions that you prepared for me today.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I think so much of it is belief. If you could just, in your own self, I think all of us have sometimes said, well, if I could really believe in something, I could sell it. And I think that is a natural tendency. So you just really need to believe in the rightness and the goodness. Just know that, but also you need to get this book and stop the procrastination. This is the first big word I learned when I was a child. My mom would always say, your middle name is procrastination. And I remember in first grade, that word came up and the teacher asked, does anybody know what that means? And she was really impressed because I knew the definition of that word. And so anyway, you need that book. Also, that psychology of asking, how do you get that? Because that's still available. Everybody needs this stuff. I highly recommend it.
What I have for you today is I'm going to offer this book right here. This is the Psychologically Unemployable book. And I will include a free copy of this also, More Heart Than Talent. All you have to do is just order this book. Order one book, so there's no confusion. Don't be concerned. Just order one book, Psychologically Unemployable. That's at goldenmastermind.com. You can go in there. You can also order, if you order one book, I'll give you a free book. You can also order The Procrastination Cure, From Procrastination to Production. It's the same book. You can just go in there. If you order one book, I'll give you 2. And don't send me a message and ask me how do I know you're going to get. Just order one book. It's simple. And then 2, if you want to order, this is a download. This is available on download. You'll have it automatically like that. And on the next Facebook Live, Dave, or the next Zoom for you is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together for $97, you can purchase my entire library online. I'll have that for you in May. Henry and I discussed that, where they can purchase like over 50 hours of audios for $97. I'll have that available in May for our next call. What I offer all the time, though, every day is I offer free 20-minute coaching calls. So if a free 20-minute coaching call, if you've ever considered hiring a coach, if you're serious about next leveling your business, not curious, but if you're serious, you really want to take your game to the next level, from 4 figures to 5 figures, 5 figures to 6 figures. I offer free 20-minute coaching calls for people who are serious about this. There's no obligation for the call. You can go to my website, goldenmastermind.com, and it says 20-minute survey right at the top of the page, or you can go straight to Facebook and send me a message with your phone number. Those are the 2 ways you can get a hold of me. I have a couple of free hours today. If you contact me today, you'll get a 20-minute coaching call from me, provided I don't have too many people that contact me. But if you send me a Facebook message and a friend request, I'll get back to you immediately. Just say I'd like to receive a 20-minute call from you, or you can go to goldenmastermind.com. There's a survey, a simple survey. It'll come right to me. I'll have your phone number, and I'll get right back to you today. Those are my offers for today.
All right. Well, the timing's right. The market's immeasurable, and the opportunity is yours. So we got the perfect vehicle, in my opinion. So let's do this. Jeffrey, thank you so much. And everybody, let's go to work.
Thank you, Dave. Have an outstanding afternoon. I look forward to being back with you on May 1st. Have an exceptional end of March and a great April, Dave.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining the Magnetic Leadership Podcast with Dave Johnson. Take charge of your health and detoxify today with Avini Premium products.